Solana and Injective have been on an absolute tear. The question is, where are they going to hit resistance, and when will they give us a chance to re-enter if we want to take profit? And where can we take profit? That's what we're going to look at today. Let's get started. All right, so we're looking at Bitcoin first, just to give you guys perspective on where I think we are in the market cycle, what I predicted, and how it's basically come exactly to truth. And we are now in the hope phase of the market. It did say that the disbelief phase was there, suspend your disbelief. We had a little bit of that come down generally causes that, and then we go into the hope phase. Let's just have a quick check to see how that normally looks. Okay, so generally we go through market cycles, and so I talked about the anxiety, denial, capitulation, anger, depression phase. Then I said we're going to go into a disbelief rally. Now this might be the top of that disbelief rally, but we did have that pullback, and you can see on the left side of the chart over here, which is what I think happened in my chart right over here. So generally what happens next is we go into a hope phase, which comes with a big run up. So as we can see, we've had something like that right here. But as I've been warning you, there is something to keep your eyes on, and it's the fact that we might have a pullback in January. That would coincide with the hope phase kind of topping out a little bit, a pullback, and then starting to run up into the halving. Usually we have a big dip before the halving happens, and then we continue running into the euphoria stage for about 8 to 12 months. So what's next for Bitcoin? A lot of people have been asking me that. We are having a similar situation as we did over here at this level of resistance at the 38,000 level, where I was talking about the fact that $38,000, once we break it on the daily chart, which we did right here, we get a boner candle, one that's very big and strong and powerful right through the resistance. We're seeing similar things happening here right now, where we're testing the lower level. So it went up, tested the lower level, went up, tested the lower level, and eventually breaks through. I believe we're likely going to see a move towards 48 before we see our January pullback. Now, January pullback could be somewhere in the midst of, if we get to 48, a 30% correction. 30% corrections would be about to 35,000. And if, because the price of Bitcoin is so much higher these days, we only get 25%, we would end up around 38 again. So a $10,000 sell-off, which would be coinciding nicely with that hope phase run up and then a pullback. So that's what I'm likely going to see. That's what you should be preparing for. Always remember, if you fail to plan, you're going to plan to fail. So make sure that you're thinking about this ahead of time. Next up, we look at ETH. Similar type of situation, wants to break out, hasn't been able to do so yet, but we got that boner candle there. Maybe we'll get one here, and my level for ETH next is 26.5. So keep your eyes on that level as well. So market cycles, number 1, Bitcoin number 2, ETH number 3. Now let's go to the meat and potatoes. What the Solana is going on? So we look here, and I actually drew this level when we were at 79, and I said we'll probably run up to 79, and we were at 57, and people thought I was crazy. And now let me just zoom in here, how much we've actually mooned on Solana. I remember when it was $13, SEC wick right here, that wick, I believe it was right there. That was when I bought most of my Solana. Thankfully, I was smart and bought it just around $13.50, $14, literally out of like the fact that I saw a huge opportunity and I bought in, and I did make a tweet about that. I showed that tweet last video. So where does Solana go next? So I said just the other day to my editor and my film producer and pretty much all my friends, yo, this is going to $118, and there's nothing that's going to stop it, because we had no real resistance, nothing that really was stopping, or no point of support or resistance in the past that we got to. So we were going to come to this level, and likely if we break this level, we go to 145. So potentially Solana could be going to 145, but let's help with the plan, right? So we don't fail. If you've been in Solana for a while and you've seen this run up, and I've talked about this, rotating money into different coins, don't sell all your Solana. You should never do that in the start of the bull market. Now, I'm not telling you what you should do, but to me, if Coach K had a bag of Solana, which I do, what would I be doing right now? I am taking profit at $118, which I did. I already had it planned in. I'm going to take profit again at 145. So for me personally, I'm going to sell about 10% of my bag at 118, or sorry, I did send 10% of my bag at 118, and now I have about 20% more sitting there. So I'll still 70% of my Solana, because generally we will get pullbacks. And if we come back to 78, I'll have sold at 118 and 145 and buy a larger bag and then get to ride it even higher. Now Solana is going to go on a much higher run, so we have to keep our eyes on that. But what we have to be careful of is that we don't get caught into the hype. And generally when one chain's hype dies down a bit, it goes into another. So this is why I always tell you to diversify into many chains, many layer 1s, layer 2s, because they cycle through and then you get gains on gains. So that's where Solana is. Another project that we've been watching is Injective Protocol. Now, this project is actually in price discovery. That means that they have literally gone, and the two lines that I hear, the vertical lines are their vesting period. So I always talk about vesting and how it's terrible for a project, and generally it is because it hit $25 and went all the way down to $1. So not a very nice pullback if you're, a user that bought in. It went down 95, 96%. So that could scare you off, of course, but that's because vested tokens have sell pressure because people get tokens that they bought for less than $1. Now that it was worth 12, it was worth, let's say over here, it was worth 6, 7. So they had money that they could take out of the market that they could put back in. That's why they were doing it. And that's why vesting is not always great. But getting back to Injective and their ecosystem and the growth that they've been having, and where should you be taking profit? Well, in general, you should have been taking profit around $25 because that was the last all-time high. But as we've learned with Bitcoin, all-time highs and all-time lows do not always predict where the price action will go. So I've been asked a lot, what is the next move? Well, if Injective is going to stay as bullish as it is, we wouldn't want to take too much profit right now, but we might want to take a little bit because remember, it was $1 and now it's 42. So it's gone up a ton. There's probably other projects that could probably make more money if you move some into those ecosystems because its market cap has gone much higher than it was in the past. So now you're asking me, well, coach, what are these Fibonacci levels for? Well, straightforward and easy. We look for levels that it could go to in price discovery because we actually don't know. There's no levels above of resistance. So we have to think in price discovery, where can the price go? And I use a tool called a trend-based fib extension. And what you do is you go from the bottom of the chart to the top of the chart and then back to that same bottom. And it will show you the Fibonacci sequence as you go up higher and where you can predict where the price will go. That's how I figured out my 140 to 150,000 Bitcoin top price. It could break that, but that was my first level of, I think it would definitely go to here. And now we'll just wait and see where that could go next. Maybe we'll do one again and after halving and see, is that potentially going to go higher or not? But I'm going to stick at 140, 150 because that's a really nice return on my Bitcoin gains. And I won't always sell all my Bitcoin, but I will sell some at certain key levels so that I can buy more. So now looking at the chart, where is Injective going? Well, it's very simple. Injective's stuck at around $43. It's at a bull flag formation, meaning it's trying to break through, similar as what we saw. We're waiting for that boner candle that we like, those green candles. And where does the price generally go? The 618 Fibonacci is usually either a retracement level or it pulls it back up to that level. So we're looking at the 1618. So the first level that I could see Injective going to next would be about $69. The second level I could see it going next would be after that about $110. And if the cycle is very, very, very jolly, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, everyone, by the way, then we could go up to potentially $153, $154 based off of the fib extension. This is not guaranteed because I don't have resistance to actually gauge this, but this is what I use as a tool to help me get some ideas of where should I be taking profit, because you should always be taking profit. You should always have a plan. When am I going to take profit? What price am I going to take profit? How am I going to take profit, right? When am I going to buy back in? What levels make me happy to buy back in? So looking at that is really, really helpful. And it's why I teach people TA, right? So we've seen epic runs on a lot of coins. And if we go through a lot of the coins that are in my list, you can see like things like Near have gone on absolute tears. Where's Near going next? $4.80. That's its next level. Then it's up to 7. And then we're going, into a pretty strong resistance at 12 and then 18. And then we're off to the races. I believe Near is probably going to go to around $40 this cycle. That's kind of my target. And it might even be too low. And that's because that's only double what it was last cycle. And Near has got blockchain operating system, so much more stuff coming. Rune still stagnant around there. That's why I was taking profit at 650. It was a great time to do that and redistribute into things like VeChain, which I went into. And VeChain is now up a lot more, as you can compare those two charts, a lot more than that. I'm waiting for Convex to go. These kinds of are lagging, right? And the lagging stuff is actually DeFi right now. So when DeFi summer comes, and it might just because this stuff is also on Ethereum and the prices and the Solana ecosystem is starting to blow up. So it could just be like redistribution of wealth across ecosystems. If that happens, I'm okay. I won't make as much money with these, but I may shift a bigger bag into other projects so that I can make a little bit more money. Another project that I have been waiting for and tweeting about is Anchor Protocol. Cloud computing services, old project, which has been through cycles and is now headed on its way up to $4.02. But really, I think the strong level will be be right at 5.7 cents. This project went into the 20 cents last cycle and likely will go there and potentially breach that this cycle. Anchor is a project that I really like, think they're going to do well, and that's why I shifted some of my Rune profits Anchor Protocol, because I do see them having a huge opportunity. We have been absolute heater the last 2 months. Literally almost up 8 figures in 2 months without the bull market or having it happened yet. We're in a bull market, but not to retail. They're not here yet. So I want to teach you what you should be aware of, because if you're not taking any profit yet and your projects are up 5-10x and you don't think the market's going to come down, and in January you don't think there's going to be a pullback, you might be getting wrecked. Now maybe you won't get wrecked because you're not in leverage, but you could be potentially taking some profit and putting it in again before the halving or right as the halving happens, and multiplying your gains by double, by a third, etc. So start to plan so you do not fail. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone. Do not forget to like and subscribe to this video, and I will see you guys in the new year.